An industry or workplace often has its own terms for certain items, places, or groups of people, and a university is no different. Here we have attempted to explain some of the terms you may come across on our websites that are specific to higher education. Your tutor helps you make the most of your time at university by giving you guidance and support along the way. All new students are advocated a personal tutor who will encourage them to get the most out of their course, direct them to other sources of support, and help them achieve their goals. Feed crops are grown and harvested to feed livestock like cows and horses. Also known as animal feed, these crops can be grown and harvested like food crops. They can also be grown in large fields where animals can graze for food. Being able to understand and interpret facial expressions is a big part of nonverbal communication skills. There are often times in conversations when just listening to the words that someone is saying will only tell you half of the story. The networks of roots that plants use to absorb water and nutrients can encompass a space larger than the part of the plant visible above ground. The nature of these root systems can help plants adapt to challenging environments such as deserts. The world's poorest countries tend to have the largest family sizes and fertility rates. When people have no economic security and cannot rely on their government, they often have children to ensure they will be looked after when they are older. computer, and smartphone-based treatments appear to be effective in reducing symptoms of depression, and while it remains unclear whether they are as effective as face-to-face psychotherapy, they offer a promising alternative to address the growing mental health needs spawned by the COVID-19 pandemic. The problem is that increased immune vigilance has a side effect: allergies. Our speculation is that this is some kind of trade-off. In the past you needed to resist some kind of pathogen, and the trade-off or sacrifice you have to make is increased responsiveness to non-pathogenic allergens. At the Fine Arts Department, we place dual emphasis on studio art and art history and are dedicated to the exploration of contemporary art while promoting traditional Chinese art and culture. Our department has been a strategic base for training up artists and art historians and has made a significant contribution to the field of art nationally and internationally. An environment of rapid change, technological innovations and increasing business competitiveness has highlighted the growing importance of management development. In particular, the general movement towards great employee involvement and making things happen through people has emphasized an integrating rather than a controlling style of management. The popular trend of revolving restaurants and bars began sometime in the early 60s after the successful launch of such towering creations as the Space Needle. But as the novelty wore off, the mechanical upkeep and maintenance of such ventures proved to be too costly for some entrepreneurs over time, and many once famous icons like Encounter Restaurant have since closed. Using artificial intelligence, researchers can create photorealistic images from three-dimensional scenery, paving the way for better driving simulators and better testing of driverless cars. The community's urban forest is an extension of its pride and community spirit. Trees enhance community economic stability by attracting businesses and tourists as people tend to linger and shop longer along tree-lined streets. Apartments and offices in wooded areas rent more quickly, and businesses leasing office spaces in developments with trees reported higher productivity and fewer absences. Association between meatless diet and depression. Participants who excluded meat from their diet were found to have a higher prevalence of depressive episodes as compared to participants who consumed meat. This association is independent of socioeconomic, lifestyle factors, and nutrient deficiencies. To prevent mosquito-transmitted diseases, approaches based on the genetic control of insect populations are being developed. However, many of these strategies are based on highly invasive, self-propagating transgenes that can rapidly spread the trait into other populations of mosquitoes. Within this free course, you will be introduced briefly to the discipline of child psychology and to theories and approaches that have been developed to help us understand and support children's lives by focusing on the individual children. Psychologists can assess changes in their child's abilities over time. The tortoise size and shell shape vary depending on where they live. The shell is made of bone and is a dull brown color. Their ribs, backbone, and breastbone have become part of the shell, which is why you can never separate the tortoise from its shell. Are animals' innate navigational abilities universal, or are they restricted to their home environments? Taking the premise to the extreme, the researchers designed a set of wheels under a goldfish tank with a camera system to record and translate the facies' movements into forward and back and side directions to the wheels. Study author Aloud Skelton, a professor of geochemistry at Stockholm University, says the unpredictable study subject makes it tough to get funding because you can in no way guarantee the result. So I get 3 years of money, but if there's no earthquake, there's no result. In the not-so-distant past, society shunned people with mental health conditions. Some people believed that evil spirits or divine retribution were responsible for mental illness. Although this way of thinking has been extricated from society in much of the world, it still casts a long shadow